Poverty is the state of being extremely poor, the state of being inferior in quality or insufficient in amount. Poverty is a disgraceful and unjust condition that has always haunted mankind. Despite 5 years of economic recovery, poverty is still stubbornly high in America. More than 45 million people, or 14.5% of all Americans, lived below the poverty line last year. Most people in poverty are women, children, and the elderly. In 2007, about 1 out of every 8 children in America was on food stamps. Today, that number is 1 out of every 5. There are 1.5 million ultra-poor households in the United States that live on less than $2 a day. That number has doubled since 1996. 1 in 3 people in the U.S. struggle to meet their basic needs. 46 million Americans use food banks each year, and lines start forming at some U.S. food banks as early as 6:30 in the morning because people want to get something before the food supplies run out. The number of homeless children in the U.S. has increased by 60% over the past 6 years. According to Poverty USA, 1.6 million American children slept in a homeless shelter or some other form of emergency housing last year. Police in New York City have identified 80 separate homeless encampments in the city, and the homeless crisis there has gotten so bad that it is being described as an epidemic. Poverty isn't the same for everyone. 9 million people who work full-time still live in poverty. There are simply not enough good jobs to go around anymore. It may be hard to believe, but 51% of all American workers make less than $30,000 a year. Average salary for a single father is $40,000, and average salary for a single mother is $25,000 a year. The top 0.1% of all American families have about as much wealth as the bottom 90% of all American families combined. At this point, 25% of all Americans have a negative net worth. That means that the value of what they owe is greater than the value of everything that they own. Poverty breeds desperation and leads some desperate poor people into wasted lives, and in some extremes, even to crime. The poor are more prone to illnesses and health problems. The poor represent far more than a group that deserves our sympathy and charity. Helping the poor escape from poverty will also help raise the incomes of the rest of the world. History has shown that when we invest in programs that fight poverty, poverty rates go down. At the height of the war on poverty, between 1960 and 1970, poverty fell by 43%. But over the last 40 years, the poverty rate has remained mostly unchanged. Good-paying jobs have been disappearing. New jobs are low-paying and lack benefits, while housing, food, and transportation costs rise. Also, politicians slash vital programs that help those in need. Many organizations have spent decades helping low-income communities organize to improve the policies that affect them. There are also welfare programs, food stamps, unemployment benefits, and Social Security that make a big difference and help fight the war on poverty. Together, we can help end poverty.